welcome everybody. As usually, I'm not gonna say much. Just this is important, the warning that we are indeed recording everything, and we plan to publish it in YouTube. So if anyone objects, just reach out and we'll see what we'll do. We'll solve the problem. So just a quick thing from me. You already know me, some of you, some don't. I'm George. I'm the organizer of Munich.NET Meetup. And if you want to reach out, I have this Twitter account here, which is my name and my surname. Not an easy thing. I wish I could have an easier, smaller name like Jackson here, but yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, today we're going to see something very, very interesting. And you know why it will be a great speech today? Because of something that I don't write here. Jackson, besides being a senior cloud security consultant, he is also a Microsoft certified trainer, I think for, I don't know, 2 decades or something, even more than that.
Yeah, 25 years to be
25
precise.
Years. Yeah, that's a lot. Of course, we will jump directly in. Zero trust, as far as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, means somehow that eliminates trust from your processes, so you will end up with something safe. And this specific zero trust topic for today is for our endpoints. It might not be directly for .NET, but I mean, in a microservices world, you can create an endpoint however you want, and some security practices still apply and they are the same. So yeah, nothing more from my side. I will stop sharing screen now. I think you will be able to start after me.
Okay, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, and I will also stop my video. I think it might be, I don't know, faster or something, just in case.
Okay. Screen, hopefully here.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Yeah, I believe you can see my screen. Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Let me just put this thing down here. Okay. Okay, so, I believe you can see my presentation now.
Definitely. Okay,
let me just double check.
Yeah,
everything's fine. Okay, yeah, I just need
just
two
one
browsers.
note. How do you want to do things? I mean, if there are questions, people can write it in the comments in the discussion panel, or they can raise hand. And then there are 2 possibilities. We either answer those questions, you either answer those questions at the end, or I somehow try to kindly interrupt you during your presentation. How do you prefer things to go?
Oh, yeah, I think if you want to interrupt me and ask the question straight away, that's fine. Yeah, the only thing is probably, as you know, I'm not going to see the questions on the chat box. And then to make, let's say, I think to make it more dynamic, let's say if people wants to ask now straight away, and then you can read the question for me and I answer, or if people wants to leave to the end, you know, for me, both ways works fine. Yeah, that's no problem.
Super, super. I will monitor then the situation here, and if there is any question, I will pass it on with the first opportunity, the first pause you do. I will try to jump in.
Yes. Okay.
Super. Then, thank you very much. The stage, the virtual stage, at least, is yours.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's great. Yeah, thanks very much, George, for the opportunity to be talking to your, let's say, to your community in Germany. I'd say Munich. Yeah, I'm based in Ireland. I'm Jackson Felden, and today is going to be all about zero trust, or let's say one of the pillars regarding to zero trust. But whatever you learn here, as you mentioned before, is applicable for other areas as well. Just a very busy slide here to do a quick intro. Yeah, I'm Jackson Felden. I'm working at the moment as a senior cloud security consultant. And the good thing is actually the project I'm running right now is I'm just implementing Defender for Endpoint in thousands of devices. And then today is not going to be only theory, it's going to be, let's say, what I've been doing on my day-to-day. And my specialty is I've been working with Microsoft Enterprise Mobility, anything regarding Intune, Defender for Endpoint, and identity, all of those things related to security. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, yeah, just search for Jackson Felden. You can find me easy. And I started a few months ago a YouTube channel. I have a couple of videos there. And whatever I'm doing on my day-to-day, whatever the clients they ask me to implement, or all my experience, I think if that if for that client is something important, why not make available for all the community. And then if you go to YouTube and just search for Jackson Felden, you should be able to find Jackson Felden Cloud and Security, and then you can start following my quick videos on there. Anyway, I started back in 1991. Initially, it was all about Novell network, and then back in kind of 1996, I started with Microsoft Windows NT4, and then I've been kind of following now all the Microsoft technologies. When it comes to the cloud, my initial experience with Office 365 started back in kind of 2013, and then Azure 2015. And now since 2019, my day-to-day has been pretty much 100% regarding security, whatever the elements relevant for cloud security. I'm kind of working and studying and researching and doing all those things. Yeah, anyway, that's a quick intro about me. Now let's go straight into what's relevant for today. And I have prepped here a couple of let's say slides and some good demonstrations as well. Don't want you guys to find the presentation too boring. And then it's going to be a mix of slides and real life, let's say real action demos as well. First, why endpoints are so important today, or let's say ever. A quick intro about Intune, and then later on is going to be how we can use Microsoft, let's say, different components, the different technologies in order to make secure all the devices. Of course, my presentation today and all my demos today is going to be around Windows 10 mainly, but when I'm talking about Endpoint, in these days, we can use Intune and Defender for Endpoint to manage basically Microsoft, Mac OS, tablets, iOS from, Apple tablets and iPhones, Android devices. It's pretty much, everything. Of course, unfortunately, not all the features available when it comes to security available from Windows 10. They will be something equivalent as well for the other platforms as well. But Microsoft is working around the clock to make, let's say, everything available on all the platforms. And yeah, I'm not going to read everything. I hope you enjoy. There are some very key information here, especially when it comes to ransomware. I know it's a big challenge today for any company. It doesn't really matter if they are small, medium size, or big. And I will show a few features here you can enable to minimize or to avoid ransomware attack. Anyway, let's go straight into it. Okay, just let me present some scary numbers, why the endpoint protection is so important. Yeah, actually, there you go. Here are the numbers. These numbers are all from Microsoft slides. To be honest, the first three, they are, I believe they are already old, I think from 2018, if I have a good memory. But anyway, every 53 seconds, a laptop around the world is stolen. Let's say every 4.2 seconds, there is a new variation of malware, and 40% of the users, they pretty much use their personal devices, tablets or laptops, or doesn't matter, to connect company data. And very important as well, this one is recent enough, 71% there is more probability for non-managed devices to be, let's say, to be infected by ransomware, malware, or whatever. Anyway, this is why it is important for us to understand the session today. For example, okay, what's happened if my laptop goes missing, or if somebody takes my laptop? First, I really must have all the data, the hard disk encrypted by, if I'm using Microsoft, it should be by BitLocker, and we can easily via Intune push the configuration. Then eventually, if somebody gets my laptop, at least it's going to be impossible. It's kind of it's difficult for me to say, but it's going to be very hard for them to get the data. And second, if that laptop has been managed by my organization, basically in no time, the administrators, they can send a full wipe where they can remove all the company data, or actually they can force the whole laptop to be reinstalled from the scratch. Okay, this is why, let's say, those elements are important for us to understand. And then I will show now what are the, let's say, the technology behind to remediate those problems, or to kind of minimize the problems caused by, when we lose a laptop, when an end user start using their own devices to connect company data, and then, God knows if they are saving company data on their laptops or not. Okay, we need to make sure that doesn't happen. We need to kind of have a proper monitoring for that. Anyway, actually, right now in 2021, it has been 30 years I started my journey as an IT professional. And I remember, the very old days, especially for small companies, I used to visit them and to improve the security, to avoid virus, to avoid people stealing company data. It was really easy. Okay, I used to do that quite a lot. Go to the very old devices before internet, before USB sticks, before external hard disk. Yeah, just removed the flop disk, job done. That was my kind of real life experience. And then again, based on my own experience, by kind of the end of 1995, when the internet started, to become more and more popular for different organizations and for the end users as well. And then the companies, they started having a router, making that router a firewall, and then to have a good control about what was the information getting in, and still valid for today, and what is the information getting out. But that time again, we thought, if I have a good firewall, good antivirus, and all the file servers, the database servers, they were locked in a nice room with a nice kind of, security control, should be fine. Other organizations, they would implement different, maybe double firewall with DMZ, where here the DMZ basically is where we put the servers to be available through the internet and so on, different variations of proxy and firewalls and so on. Of course, when it comes to firewall and proxy, everything is still relevant, up to now. But in these days, we have another problem. With the cloud, we need to understand the users. They are not saving files or saving information only on the local servers. It means, before we thought, oh yeah, if we have a nice protection, a nice security level on the servers, we are sorted. Today, the end users are saving data everywhere. It could be on Google Drive, OneDrive, SharePoint, Box, Dropbox. The information is, everywhere. And then this is why, okay, zero trust became something really, really important. Zero trust is not really new, has been a bunch of years already. But since the cloud service, the cloud adoption became so popular, and then zero trust became very popular as well. And the idea, as George quickly showed the tip of the iceberg a few seconds ago, the three main principles are: first, verify explicitly. Okay, it means no, we don't trust anybody anymore. Every time when somebody is logging in, when somebody is trying to connect a company data, that time, okay, it's not last month, not 2 weeks ago, no, that time we want to have the security controls in place. And eventually, if a device is running with some missing security configuration, for example, the firewall is disabled, no. We don't want that device to connect any company data. Yeah, every single time we want to verify. Of course, use the last privilege access. It means, nobody should be using, let's say, local administrator or admin permissions to read emails, to do the kind of, day-to-day job. Okay, everybody should be using their devices as an end user. And of course, the admin guys, if they need to reset a password, if they need to, make a configuration change, and then that time, maybe for next hour, they can use, for example, Microsoft privilege management to get a window of 1 hour, 2 hours to become, for example, an admin, make the changes, and then after 1 hour, the system removes the privilege straight away. Again, in case there is a ransomware or something, behind the scenes, trying to use that account to escalate and to kind of make something, let's say, big, is going to be much more difficult because that user is a kind of end user. Second principle. And the third one is, assume a breach. It means, at some stage, the company will be compromised. And then the IT, let's say everybody, the managers, the directors, the especially department, they must understand and have all the process ready in order, how to tackle that breach. Could be a ransomware, could be, company data that was stealing, and so on. We need to be kind of, prepared. When it comes to Microsoft, there is a different bit of variation between different companies out there, but talking specifically about Microsoft at the day-to-day of work, there are 6 pillars. Okay, if I'm counted well, identity, endpoints, data, apps, infrastructure, and network. And then, of course, there are loads of controls and best practices to be implemented on identity, on endpoint, on data, and so on. And all of them working together, of course, will put any organization in a much better position when it comes to security. And as you already know, for today, I won't have time to talk about those components. Today is going to be pretty much around the endpoint. Okay, but in order to be safer, to be safer, of course, we really should understand and implement all the controls for all of those pillars. But anyway, today, let's do a bit kind of deep dive into the endpoint protection. Before I start talking specifically about endpoint, this picture here is really good. I would say, okay, anybody, want in the morning, after lunch, when it's trying to connect any company data, first, these days is basic stuff. We want to make sure everybody only can log on with multi-factor authentication. And we can easily find by the fact we enable multi-factor authentication for everybody, we can remediate by 99.99% the problems regarding account hijacking. Okay, just by enabling, that feature, multi-factor authentication. When anybody try to connect company data, come from here and try to go into the, try to come from, sorry, that's not the one I'm looking for. Okay, trying from the device and then eventually to try to connect company data. What we really want is to make sure the device is, the risk level is acceptable. I will show later on how it works. Eventually, if the device, there is a malware or something happening, maybe the device has too many missing updates, patches and so on, the device could be high risk or medium risk. And then thanks to the conditional access, we can say, you know what, those devices, they are not compliant for the level we need, and we don't want those devices or that device to access company data. It means no reading emails, no access to OneDrive, no access to SharePoint, nothing, okay, unless the device kind of meets whatever are the compliance level for the organization. Okay, it's really interesting how things kind of work together, and then regarding the apps, infrastructure and so on. But anyway, let's say today, let's concentrate on this part. Okay, all about the device, the endpoint protection and conditional access that will measure and kind of keep assessing the devices in order to allow or not them to get access. That's the kind of the way it works. Okay, the two main, how could I say, components used by Microsoft to protect endpoints are here. Okay, the first one, basically, sorry, before that, in general, I will talk about the technology in few seconds. Okay, in general, yeah, this word is very important. Okay, I mean, you know, any company really must have full visibility, you know, to know who is connecting, what are the devices, are they iOS, Android, Windows 10, okay, what are the build, is Windows 10 1903 or Windows 10 1803, you know, have full visibility if those devices are company fully managed device, where, you know, the company has full access and can do anything, or they are owned by the end users. You know, the end users are using those devices to read emails. You know, it doesn't matter. We still need to have full access. As quickly I told before, when it comes to the security configuration, thanks to Intune, I can make sure every single device on my organization, the firewall is always on, the hard disk is always like, you know, encrypted. This is a very nice feature I will show in a few seconds to avoid ransomware. The folder access control is enabled, and so on. And the beauty is, if one of those features, for example, firewall, the end user managed to switch that off, we can say, oh yeah, you know what? It's not a compliant device anymore. The user doesn't have access to the system, okay? And so on. I'm not going to read everything, but these are, let's say, some of the key elements. The companies out there needs to kind of, they need to keep engaging and with the end users and make sure the endpoints are running in, let's say, protection level. Okay, how can we actually bring the endpoints to a next level when it comes to security? Yeah, the two components are here. First is Intune. Of course, you know, there is a special license you need to buy, or if you are using Microsoft Business, Premium Business, or Microsoft E3 or E5, and then Intune is already part of that. And basically, we use Intune to push the configuration. Okay, I want every single device, or the IT devices, the management devices, they must have the hard disk encrypted. I want to push Word and Excel access. Anyway, this is the management tool where we push different controls, including the security controls, okay? And then eventually, the next big one in here, okay, this one here, the Defender for Endpoint. This is, please don't call as a antivirus, okay? Antivirus is just a little part of this solution. This is a whole solution when it comes to, as you can see in here, okay, threat and vulnerability management. I can have a kind of X-ray from my organization to see what are the missing patches, what are the let's say, the applications, the vulnerable applications, okay, maybe Google Chrome, Acrobat Reader, you know, old versions and stuff like that, antivirus, and the full management. And the beauty is, as I will show, these two guys working together, okay, I can say, okay, if the device has a virus or a malware, or there are too many vulnerabilities, the device will go to a high-risk device, and then Defender for Endpoint will let Intune know about that, and then Intune will set that device as a non-compliant. And being non-compliant, the user will basically lose access. Okay, I will show in a few seconds about that. When it comes to the registration process, it really doesn't matter. Okay, we could have like loads of organizations today, they are running in a hybrid mode. You know, we have here the devices, they are all connected to the local Active Directory, local group policy, and, you know, so on. And then thanks to the Azure AD Connect, they are replicated to the cloud, to the Azure AD. And, you know, I can have Intune running from here or running on those devices as well. Okay. For other organizations, you know, maybe they decide not to have any the local server anymore, no domain controllers anymore. Yeah, no problem. I can, we can plug those guys straight into Azure AD and basically do all the management. And on top of that, on top of that, we could have, of course, the bring your own device, end users using their own devices, no problem at all when they kind of, connect the Office 365 apps or data. We can make sure they are in the kind of minimum acceptable security level before they can work on our organization. Okay, sorry for the heavy theory, so far. Now let me jump in and run some demos in here. Before I run the live demo, this is a kind of, a nice screenshot. The first thing you need to do in order to do any management is, of course, make sure all the devices are registered into Intune. Okay, let's talk about a small company, maybe 100 users or whatever, 50 users. If, of course, the devices are not showing on Intune, and then it doesn't matter. All the controls you have in terms of security, doesn't matter because you are not able to apply those controls for the user. Then step number one, make sure the devices you want to manage, they are registered. Okay, step number two is start building all the configuration profiles. And then, guys, I'm talking about, I never counted, but easily thousands of things you can do. Enable, disable the disk encryption, enable, disable firewall, push some additional application. It's just thousands of configuration and different configurations, including the security control as well. Third is to build the compliance policy, say, okay, in our organization, in order to make the device compliant, I want minimum. Firewall must be on, Windows 10 must be build 1903, we need an antivirus, the antivirus need to be updated, and all of those things. And then on top of that, we can use as well the app management to push and to install and remove apps as well. I want to make sure all the guys from finance, they have Excel, all the guys from the front desk, they have Word, and all of those things. And here is nice because we can easily get to know what are the devices, first of all, if they are company owned device or a personal device, and if they are compliant based with our policy or not. Okay, that's the kind of the tip of the iceberg. Now let me show a bit of kind of live stuff here. Let me show how the configuration works behind the scene. Oops, let me get here. Okay, this is, I have a tenant, a couple of devices here, all part of my own lab. And then first of all, they are already registered. Okay, I should have a couple of virtual machines in here. Yeah, as you can see, Windows 10, 05, 06, and yeah, of course, I left on purpose those devices in here. They are non-compliant at the moment, other ones are compliant. Right now, if you are wondering why device 06 is non-compliant, yeah, let me let you know now straight away. If I click on the device, now I have a bunch of things I can know about that device. I can click on device compliance, click in there, and then I can see, yeah, on my Contoso MDM compliance policy. This is the policy I created. If I click in there you go. Okay, yeah, the device at the moment is not compliant because the firewall is off and there is no antivirus, or the antivirus is with a kind of old signature. Yeah, the antivirus is not there or has an old signature. Okay, this is why the device is compliant. And then the beauty of that is, let me try, I think I did the configuration. Okay, device 06. Okay, keep in mind, if I go to my virtual machine, virtual machines, device oops, I don't have here, 1 second. Yeah, there we go. Let me just connect this guy quickly. Okay, hopefully I can remember the password. Oops. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so many passwords to remember. Okay, that's fine. I have here my device number 6. And now if I try to read my mails, okay, double click here just to connect the web mail. And then most likely what's going to happen is, yep, this device doesn't meet the organization compliance. It means no access. Okay, I will show you, why this configuration worked like that. But just to show, I would say easy, but the way it works. If the device doesn't meet the minimum security level, no access. It's kind of, I don't care. It's better to have the user kind of out instead, for the user to maybe spread a virus or something. This configuration here was built thanks to the conditional access. Okay, something else I need to show you now. If I go to, I need to go, yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, here, okay, let me just quickly go to portal.io. I want to give you the full picture. Okay, now I need to go into the portal, and then let me go quickly into the Azure Active Directory. Okay, hopefully that's good. George is making this recording available, and then you guys, if I'm going too fast, you can later on pause the video and try to follow the steps. Okay, now let me go to security. Okay, and here, and then finally I can go over the conditional access. Okay, and here. And then the condition I created is here, as you can see, is on, okay? Block access to emails from non-compliant devices, okay? Click in there. And then basically I just build a condition, okay? My condition is pretty much very simple. I decided, of course, could be for the entire organization. That actually usually is the way to do. But on my lab, I decided nobody from finance, nobody from the IT department will be able to get access unless, okay, unless the device is marked as compliant. Okay, that's pretty much it. This is the configuration I could do. I could have different configuration for different departments, different people and so on. But yeah, as you could see, this is what I did, and this is why my user from my device 05, as I can remember, couldn't get access to the mail thanks to this configuration here. Okay, that's all part of the protection and part of the kind of part of the zero trust as well. Anyway, okay, I explained a little bit, and let me just show you. If I go back now into the compliance policy, if I click in there, and then here I can have, different compliancy levels to different people, different OS as well. The moment I decided, my general one here, okay, I have super duper cool. I can see that configuration I have applied to all users on my organization, and to make a device compliant, basically the firewall must be on, the antivirus must be there, anti-spyware must be there, and the defender anti-malware must be there as well. It could be, other things as well. Okay, and then this will keep measuring my my devices. If there is any problem, the device kind of won't have access, as you could see a few seconds ago. Okay, but this is the compliance policy. But to push the configuration, oh yeah, I want every single device, the hard disk must be encrypted. I want to make sure the firewall is always enabled. And then the place to do that is via the configuration profile profiles. Yeah, if I click in there, the way to do is just matter to create a new profile. And then eventually here, of course, because there are different configurations for different operating system or platforms, and then I need to pick, oh yeah, I want to stick now with Windows 10. Okay, click in there, and now I could go and select whatever the policy, the configuration I want, or I could stick with templates, and now there are some built-in templates specifically for endpoint protection, okay, for identity protection and so on. Okay, and then let me just quickly show, and then I will show what I've done already. If I go over the endpoint protection, yeah, let me stick with that. Okay, now I need to set a name for now. Let's say protection for IT devices, whatever the name you want. Click on that. And of course, now the most important is the configuration. Okay, as I was saying a few seconds ago, oh yeah, I want to make sure all the devices from the IT, okay, they always have the hard disk as encrypted. Okay, firewall, yeah, I really want, I don't want the users to use FTP. I want, and then, here's just matter to set the configuration in regards to make sure the firewall is always enabled, okay, for the network domain and so on. I could even in here come and create rules. Okay, oh yeah, I need a specific rule to allow, I don't know, Oracle or any application, to be able to communicate. Yeah, all the configuration is done in here. When you are happy with the configuration, I could spend the next 3 hours probably, talking about these things here. But anyway, now just click on next. Very important. One thing is for you to create the profile. The second is for you to decide who will be applied by that profile. Then easily you could add everybody, all the devices, or just click in here and then say, yeah, you know what, this specific configuration is only for my security group, IT. Okay, and then, just select, of course, I can have multiple groups, IT and security group, maybe finance as well. Okay, that's fine. And then now I'm not going to save because, it's not a proper configuration. But now next, finish. After a few minutes, the Intune will talk to different devices that belong to finance and IT, and will basically push the configuration. Just to buy a bit of time, I have here already a bunch of configuration done. For example, I decided to encrypt, okay, the hard disks from my organization. Okay, and then I already created, just to kind of show you, a BitLocker. Okay, I create a configuration. I can see is already applied for 4 different devices. Okay, device 05, Dell 01, 06, and so on. Okay, now as a peace of mind, I know those devices, the hard disk is fully encrypted, thanks to this configuration I just created from there. Now let me show you a very important configuration. Even if you're not using Intune, you can enable this configuration here to kind of, protect against ransomware. Okay, I created, and then I will run a quick demo about ransomware. Okay, I created in here ransomware protection for Windows 10. And right now, okay, that protection is applied only, let me actually take note, device 10.07, okay? And the configuration is done via the controlled access folder, okay? It means I don't want any third-party application to make changes on files in any of these folders, and on the kind of default folders like downloads, my documents, desktops. None of those folders should be affected by third-party applications. And let me show you how that can protect you against ransomware. Okay, just keep in mind the configuration. I pushing this nice feature over computer 07. Okay, now let me do a nice demo here for you, how interesting ransomware can be. First, okay, protected. I need to go to my device 5. Okay, yeah, okay. Now pay attention on here, please. I have a couple of files into my documents folder. Let's pretend I've been working with sales reports 2018, sales reports 2020, and so on. And then somebody, okay, managed to download, somehow, or receive by email a piece of ransomware. Okay, now let me run this thing here, double click. And then what's happened is just really bad news. Yeah, all my files are encrypted. Please send an email to that Gmail account. Please don't do that. Okay, to eventually pay the ransom and hopefully get your files back. Okay, if I look my files, Before they were all Word document. Now, really bad news. They are fully encrypted and the data is pretty much gone. Okay. The thing is, I could protect that via, or actually I could use the same machine here just to show the configuration. Okay, let me delete that file. Thank God I have some backups in here. Copy. The configuration I've been using myself, for a while. If you go on your device, just type virus, go to virus and threat protection, click in there, and then go to virus threat protection, more settings, and then I'm looking for this one here, okay? Controlled access folder. Let me click in there and let me enable, okay? And then from here, I could add some folders, myself, okay? Sorry, in addition, okay, in addition to my folders, okay, in here, I could add other folders as well. But anyway, okay, that's enable. Now, if I kind of try, I think, okay, if I try to run that software again, double click, okay, really good news for me, bad news for the ransomware. Okay, that application tried to make some changes on those files and actually it couldn't, okay, thanks to the configuration I just enabled from here. And as you can see, I still got the message, but the good news is if I check my files, they are still there, not encrypted, okay? Of course, if you have your own application, maybe, any application, and that application needs to make change on those files, is not going to work, okay? Unless you go over the virus and threat protection, okay? Go in here, go over the controlled folder, and then in here, can you see, allow an app through the control folder access, okay? And then here, you might need to add your payload system, your, whatever the system you need, okay? In this control, guys, I just want to show now on my computer 7, can be pushed, device 7, okay? If I go here and try virus, okay, and here, and then virus settings, and then controlled access folder. Yeah, the good news is, as you can see, this setting is managed by your administrator. Okay, the good news is, is on thanks to the Intune. I'm pushing the configuration from there. Okay, anyway, that's just a nice, I think is a nice quick demo for you to show the difference between a bad Windows, let's say unprotected with a kind of bad security policy, where a ransomware, a user could click an application and eventually get everything encrypted, in another device with a proper control, where that ransom that was able to encrypt the files initially couldn't encrypt the files on the second time, just thanks to that particular feature. Okay. Okay, now let's pause for a moment. Up to now, I've been talking in general about, zero trust and general protection and so on. And then I gave a kind of, good overview on Intune, do the registration, set up the security configuration policies, measure that configuration using the compliancy policy. Now, the second part I want to show is the Defender for Endpoint, okay? The whole solution when it comes to antivirus and threat and vulnerability management. Let me just get another virtual machine from here. Okay, this is another, oops, I just need to log on again. Okay, this is another virtual machine, fully protected, okay, via Intune, and protected, additional protection, protected via Defender for Endpoint. Okay, let me try to do something interesting in here. I have on my downloads, oh my goodness, plenty of malware, plenty of kind of, bad things in here. Okay, let me just quickly, okay, where is the file I want? Sorry, this one here, okay. That's a very bad one. Right click, let me extract file. Okay. Oops. Okay, now I just need to find the invoice. Okay, yeah, guys, as you can see, I have a invoice, basically invoice X, okay, in here. Okay, let me just close that. Yeah, anyway, basically when I try to run that malware, the system already detected. As you can see, virus threat protection was detected. Really bad one. If I go in here, severe, let me give some more details. Okay, yeah, this is a proper ransomware that try to kind of encrypt all the data on my organization, but thanks to the Defender for Endpoint, it was blocked. Okay, I couldn't run that, that application. The good news now is the following. If I go to my portal, I can give you some additional information. I just need to go to my additional. Okay, if you've never done any work on the Defender for Endpoint, this is the, this is the interface. From here, I can click over the device inventory. Really nice. I can have a good understanding what is the risk level for each device, medium level, low, and so on. And then if I click on that device, just let me click on this device, the beauty, I can get to know who is using this device, the amount of alerts and so on. Let me click on the alerts in here. Usually it, let me see if that is the last one. Today is, oh no, that was my yesterday example. Okay, basically, as you can see, yesterday when I tested, the system managed to block the ransomware and remediate it automatically. To have a better understanding, I can click now on that particular, threat, go in here, have a better information, get to know exactly what was the problem. And the good news is it was fully resolved and fully prevented. Okay, and I have all the information in here as well. Okay, and then of course, here when it comes to the tickets, I can, assign the ticket to other people. I can resolve the ticket myself and so on. All the alerts, okay, are in here happening on my organization. This when it comes to kind of day-to-day alerts. On the new portal, as you can see in here, Microsoft now is moving what used to be, not used to be, what is at the moment, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Identity, all the Defender for Office 365. If I go into the security center.microsoft.com, this is only for basically Defender for Endpoint. But if I go, just give me 1 second in here. But the good news is, oops, one more time. Okay. Okay, it's coming. Okay, but that's the wrong one. Security, just a second. Okay, if I go to security.microsoft, okay, and then I should be going to the new portal. The beauty of the new portal is all the Defender for Identity, Defender for Cloud App Security, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Office 365, all of those components, they are kind of, merged in a single place. Okay, from here, I have all the, I have all the alerts. Okay, and then if I click on alerts, I can click on filter. And then from filter, I can say, yeah, you know what? Right now, I just want to know the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint alerts or, Cloud App Security. And, the same alert I was talking to you a few seconds ago, okay, is here. From something else I want to show, if I'm looking from the endpoint point of view, I can always click on vulnerability, and this is really good. If I click on dashboard, now I can get to know kind of, how good or bad my devices are when it comes to the exposure score, it's kind of medium, 39. Okay, why? Because yeah, there are some security configuration to be implemented. There are some patches to be installed. And if I follow the top security recommendations, all the updates, if I follow the top recommendations, and then of course the score will go down, what is a good thing. We should really be under kind of 29 for that. There is another score regarding the device. Okay, again, regarding applications running on that device, the operating system, if it's patched or not, the security controls implemented or not. Right now, not that bad, but we could, have a better score as well. Okay, and then the exposure distribution as well in regards to the alerts, if they are high risk, medium, or low. In order for me to improve, the overall score when it comes to the exposure, bring the score down. When it comes to the device score, bring the score up. What I really need to do is go to the recommendations. If I click on the recommendations, and then from here, basically, yeah, there is the amount of weaknesses. I can always, index, or sorry, sort by weaknesses and say, oh yeah, there is an update to be done on Microsoft Edge. Yeah, here on the Windows 10, there are some missing updates as well. Google Chrome, there are some missing updates. What is really good is okay, what are the devices where there is a missing Google configuration or Google update? Yeah, no problem at all. If I click on that specific recommendation, now I can go to the exposed devices. Click in here. There you go. Now I know I need to fix that Google Chrome bit into my device 11, 12, and this device here. By the time I fix that recommendation, and then again, of course, in a big organization, it will be maybe hundreds or dozens of devices. And then by the time I fix that problem, yeah, there's an update for that. By the time I fix that problem, and then later on, usually takes a couple of hours, when I come back, and then I can see exactly what is the, my score will go down, okay? And if I go quickly, I showed, if I click on device, and click in here, and then from the device as well, I can see now on this particular device, I'm talking about only about Windows 10, 12, I can see if there is any vulnerability. Oh my goodness, quite a lot of vulnerabilities on that device. I can see if there is any missing update. If I click in there, okay, update is kind of fine. And I can see all the software inventory. What are the piece of software running on that specific device as well? Chrome, Office, Internet Explorer, and all of those things, WinRAR, and so on. Okay, anyway, again, I could probably stay talking about Defender for Endpoint for the next, I don't know, 50 hours easily. But please remember, Intune is the component, the management tool used based to push the configuration, different configurations, including security controls. And the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint is the threat and protection vulnerability management when it comes to all the devices. And then, exploring here the interface, we can really have a good understanding about what are the vulnerabilities, how to fix them, and have a nice control in terms of, doing all the day-to-day management on those devices. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is just following, my slides is, okay, what should I do? What should I do if a device goes missing? Okay, maybe, I took the train, forgot my device on the train. Maybe, unfortunately, somebody took the device, from me, and so on. Anyway, the controls I have now, I'm back to the Intune, okay, Microsoft Endpoint Manager. I'm back to my devices. If I go over Windows, click in there, and then now, okay, let's say computer, doesn't really matter. Computer 5 is lost, okay, or somebody, got stolen. Okay, yeah, the good thing is I have a couple of controls here on the top. If I click on wipe, basically I can make sure, as the name suggests, the whole thing is going to be wiped off. All the company data will be deleted, and even the Windows operating system is going to be fully refreshed, okay, just to make sure all the applications are gone as well. If I click on delete, I think I just don't want to delete, but yeah, if I click on delete, as you can see, all the company data will be deleted from that device. I think I have a better slide here to show you. 1 second. Yeah, I think this is better. Okay, yeah, there you go. And then when I click on wipe, I am wiping off the company data, in a full reset. It means, full operating system refresh will kick off. And if I click on delete, and then basically all the company data will be, only the company data will be removed, but the operating system will kind of, left it alone with no problem. Okay, that's the kind of the last important bit to tell as well. Yeah, the other things are kind of, screenshots I've been showing you before. I think that's pretty much it, what I have, prepped for today. Sorry for the high speed. Sometimes I get too enthusiastic with, those things. But just a quick review, okay, the zero trust is the, I would say new, but is the approach that actually should be used in order to tackle the current, let's say, challenges for any organization in terms of managing everything, devices, user, data, and so on. And then with the controls I presented, for the last hours, these are some of the important controls used to tackle the endpoint protection. But of course, now there are other controls available for identity, for data, for networking, and all of those 6 different pillars. Okay, George, I think that's pretty much what I have prepped you from my list. Not sure if there is any question, or if you want to ask any question for me. I'm happy, to stay a couple more minutes to answer those questions, or just have a chat.
Yeah, of course. There are some questions. First of all, let me say that this was a lot. I mean, a lot of informations, and definitely you need to sleep over it to somehow consume it and absorb these informations. But
yeah, I fully agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. Anyway, the good thing, as you said, is that we are recording this event, so everyone can just go back and visit the event in YouTube soon enough, and they will be able, and I will be able to see some things in detail, what happened there. First of all, yeah, one note. Second of all, I already said the first one. One note on my side. Yeah, endpoints. The term is broader. It exists in operations and in development, but the logic that zero trust applies everywhere, and even if you are architecting as a developer an endpoint, an API, the zero trust applies there too, which means that I guess you can deploy something and assume the infrastructure will protect you, or that there will be a firewall, or that they will have no access there. You always need to protect what you are doing by trusting no one. The scariest part that I've seen was that a laptop is lost every 40 seconds, 42 seconds or something. Maybe we need to be more careful about it. I don't know.
And as I said, actually, is a kind of old date. I think it's from 2018. Now could be even worse. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's like maybe every 40 seconds. But yeah, you got the idea. It's really scary. And then this is why it's important, if the laptop goes missing, is fully encrypted. There is a control where you can do a wipe off remotely, and yeah, all of those things. Yeah, is loads of different controls working together in order, to bring the security from this level to, whatever the highest we can reach. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, there is I mean, work laptop, let's say, it's a different thing because the administrators theoretically have control over this, but things should apply to our personal laptops too, because things can happen there too. For example, this malware protection that you showed, how files cannot be encrypted that easily by malware. I mean, why isn't that enabled by default, what's the drawback of just having that? Is it making something slower, or I don't know?
No, yeah, not slower. Probably Microsoft wanted to play safe because, you know, if there is an application without a user intervention that on the background try to make changes on the files, those applications, they won't work unless you go there and create an exception. And then, you know, that could give a bit of headache for some users using those applications. And then I think this is why Microsoft, you know, I believe, or maybe in the future it will change. Yeah, it's a nice feature. I've been using that feature, I don't know, maybe for a year or 18 months already. And yeah, so far, yeah, you know, I didn't get any problem in using that feature, you know, for me at least, you know, as an end user. That's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I checked the feature while you were talking if it is enabled in my PC because I didn't know. I didn't know that thing. Thankfully, it was on. And yeah, for us, of course, Visual Studio and some other applications need an exception there to run. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you might need to add an exception there.
yeah, yeah. There is another question by Victor, which asks if there are specific security for IoT devices.
Unfortunately, I haven't been working, let's say, a lot with IoT devices, but let's say some controls and the visibility are in there, you know, a specific design for IoT. And of course, it's very, how can I say, the security level must be there as well, you know, regardless, you know, the device, including IoT and ransomware attack, you know, could be a catastrophe as well. I don't, because I'm not working with IoT, I don't remember from all the research, my day-to-day study, if there is any specific control for IoT. I think I'm kind of not, unfortunately, I'm not the best person to, you know, to answer that question, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sorry about that, Victor.
Yeah, no, it's no problem at all, of course. It's better to know that, I don't know, to answer that you don't know something than pretend to know and give a wrong advice.
Oh,
So,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That's the way I do,
especially
yeah.
for security,
Oh.
yeah, of course. Any advices for a personal laptop or device? I mean, if you're in a work environment, someone else manages these things, and as you showed already, you can enforce to have these protections. But if you don't, and it's just the laptop that you're working at home, or your kid is working, I don't know, then you need to do something there too to protect a few things. Is there any way to enforce a policy in the home devices, like do that? What will be the cost if you start this endpoint protection from Microsoft, but you start it for a home network?
Yeah, let's say kind of, you know, it's a bit technical, but a cheap way you could use, if you go to any window and then just type GP edit, okay, edit grow policy, and then from here, let's say, especially if you have, you know, different people using the laptop and you want to make changes, there are thousands of controls you can enable in terms of, you know, all the controls I've been talking about, and then you don't need to pay anything. Of course, you need to learn how to use and how to enable those controls. But to be very honest with you, before using those controls, is just apply the basic, you know, just apply the basic. What are the basic? Make sure the operating system and all the applications are fully updated. In these days, less is better. What I want to say is less application, less data, less stuff on your laptop is better. You know, if you don't need to use application, remove, you know, uninstall, keep clean. Operating system, maybe Office, whatever the few components, you know, you need. And then don't do those silly things, you know, download as less as possible things. Pay attention on all the emails from, let's say, not related people. It's kind of, you know, if you just pay attention and follow those basic security advice or best practice, I would say you are maybe 50% or 80%, you know, safe. And then, of course, the other controls, then you need to do, you know, like the control access folder, you know, and those things as well. But if there are, you know, your kids are sharing devices, you know, maybe a bit of training for them as well.
Yeah.
And I was reading a few weeks ago, let's say 92% of the ransomware, they can be prevented with the basic things I just told you, you know, let's say fully updated, less clicks, less, and so on. I would say start with the basic and then apply the controls as a second stage. Here could be, you know, the way to go. Of course, if you really want to use, yeah, Intune and so on, you could, there are some, let's say, subscriptions available for end user as well. To be honest, you know, I don't lie, I'm not using on my own laptop. I'm just following the best practices and trying to have, you know, let's say very few applications in here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same here. There is also a nice feature. I mean, you're using VMs there, I've seen, but there is a nice feature for newest Windows versions, and especially if your BIOS supports virtualizations, if you have enabled the Windows Sandbox, that you can get in there and go crazy. Then download the malware, do whatever you want there. Just don't add your credentials anywhere, and you are safe to play around. This is at least for experimentation. It's a very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. The virtual machines, as you said, that's, you know, I'm doing a lot, any test, let's say security test, I only do on my virtual machines. And then another thing I did, you know, multi-factor authentication on my Microsoft account, LinkedIn account, and, you know, whatever. Yeah. You know, again, I would say just, you know, follow the best practice, and then you are, let's say, maybe 80% done already, you know, or even more, to be honest.
Can you hear me now? My microphone was muted. Yeah, as I said before, a lot of things to absorb and digest. So definitely, I will need some time, and I'm very happy I'm recording this, and I'm also very happy that you allowed this to happen. And actually, you were hearing virtually here anyway, Munich.net meetup, and you allowed this recording to happen, and then we can publish it, and everyone can see it again and again as many times as he or she wants to learn or do some things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, sorry.
Okay, I think that's it for today. And thanks very much again, George, for the opportunity to be here talking to your community. Hopefully, yeah, I know it was high speed and loads of information.
Yeah.
But now everybody can go, you know, out and do some more research and hopefully, you know, make all the endpoint protection better, you know, at home and back on your organization as well.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, we are mostly developers in this group.
Okay.
And a lot of things that they are happening are sometimes transparent. You know that nowadays we have this DevOps approach that developers and operations are coming together in a sense. And,
I see.
Knowing details of how to protect, how machines are protected on the other side is very crucial for developers too. I don't know how many people today are from the developer side or from the operation side. I don't know how many there are in the middle from the DevOps side, but I think it was very useful for everyone.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
Super. Thank you very much for being here. I hope we can do that some other time in the future. And yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's it for me. Thanks very much again, and hopefully I will see you next time. And thanks very much, everybody who is joining this live session. Okay, all the best. Thank you. Bye.
Ciao. Bye, everyone.